Hey y'all, I'm Ali. Welcome to Little Hill Homestead. One of the things a lot of you guys have asked me over the last couple of years to show you how to make is something super simple, and it's probably because you have kids like we do. Ketchup. If you go to the grocery store or if you shop Azure or anywhere, it's really kind of hard to find a cleaner ketchup. I have this one because I wanted to pull the ingredient list off of it. This is the Heinz Simple with no artificial sweeteners, but I've told you this before, I like to use the label or the ingredients off of products we do like to kind of come up with my recipe, and then we kind of adjust it as we go, whatever. But it gives you a good bounce off point. And so the things in this one are tomato concentrate, distilled vinegar. They use cane sugar. We're going to be using honey because I find that it adds a little bit of like a better overall flavor. Not the granular, you know what I'm talking about. You can use sugar in its place. Salt, onion powder, spices, and I don't know what this natural flavoring BS is, but you know what I mean. All the time I see people say, spices. Y'all, that could be anything. So we made this a couple of times to try to figure it out, and I think I have it figured out for you guys. So come along as we make ketchup. So the first thing you need is 6 ounces. This is just tomato paste. This is the one from Member's Mark. Use whatever you want. I do find we have tried another brand that was much, much less expensive. It had a lot of oil in it. Not sure what that was about, but look for a good tomato paste. Like this one's just tomato pulp and citric acid, which is just a preservative. I'm dropping this right into a pan. We are gonna bake this. We're not gonna bake it. We're gonna cook it on the stovetop, y'all. She's done lost her mind. Yeah, I was looking and I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy, some better ketchup from Azure. They aren't cheap, you guys. They're rather expensive. And we go through quite a bit, less so now because we have less kids at home, but when we had little kids at home, oh my gosh, they would go through ketchup like water. It was ridiculous. You know what I mean. The next thing I need is 1/4 cup. This is just regular old water. It's just gonna thin it out a little bit, and then ironically, you're gonna put it on the stove, and then it'll thicken up because the water dissipates. Huh? You know what I mean. I'm doing 1/4 cup of honey. If you do molasses, it turns a little more like barbecue sauce. If you do sugar, you really have to make sure that the granular texture that it has breaks down as you cook it. Because you don't want chunks of funky stuff going on, right? Am I right? After that, forgot my teaspoon. No! Well, I'll use a 1/2 teaspoon so I can multiple purpose use it. That wasn't water. That was vinegar. Oh no, this is vinegar. She's losing her mind, y'all. I need 1/2 cup of vinegar. We buy our vinegar from Sam's Club, I think it is. It comes with 2 of these huge ones, and I like to buy it. You're getting a warning now. Once canning season hits, it's hard for me to find the 2-pack, so I like to buy it a little bit early, and it stores forever. So that was water. This is vinegar. Just one of those days. We need some salt. I'm doing 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. If your tomato paste is salty, you can get away with a little bit less. If it's a low sodium, does that even exist, tomato paste? They don't even have salt in them. So you can't get a low sodium because it doesn't have salt anyways. Anyways, if you feel like it's too salty, take your salt down. What is she talking about? The next thing we did was onion powder. We make our own, and we don't use a clumping agent, so I kind of have to break it apart, but it's 1/4 of a teaspoon of onion powder. We also make our own garlic powder. We just dehydrate garlic and onion to make these. So again, it has a little bit of clumping, but the garlic does it less so than the onion. We need 1/8 of a teaspoon of garlic. If you want to add a little more garlic, you totally can though. That is it, you guys. Talk about minimal, and you probably have everything on hand. I'm just gonna take my whisk and mix, it all together. I mean, it looks like ketchup, does it not? Can you see it at all? Probably not. I'm just gonna mix everything together really well. And then I'm gonna spin it around. I'm gonna put it on pearl. I'm gonna turn it on a burner. once that starts to kind of bubble, you know, like when you cook a marinara sauce or a red sauce, it always bubbles. This will do the same thing. So it's probably best to throw a lid on it if you don't want to have to clean your stove of red polka dots. But I put it on the stove, and once it comes to a boil or a low, like bubbles, I put a lid on it. You cook it for 20 minutes on like medium low, just till it thickens together and everything molds together beautifully. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'll bring you back to show you the finished product. So I figured while my ketchup was cooking, I would show you guys how we make mustard. And we'll just make this the ketchups and the mustards show. If you're a fan of USC, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I figured I'd show you mustard. Why not, right? Mustard is actually really, really simple, similar to ketchup. The only difference is mustard is cheap, you guys. And so typically I buy it because you can get it for like under $1 sometimes. And there's really not any unclean ingredients in mustards. But I'll show you anyways. So the first thing that we're gonna do for this one, if you make your own mustard, sometimes it's a little bit thin. And so I add a little tiny touch of arrowroot powder or cornstarch. They're the same thing in the end. It's whatever you wanna use. I add a teaspoon of it, and I kind of make a slurry at the bottom of my pan. We're going straight into a pan again with this one because we're gonna be cooking on the stovetop. To that, we are gonna add 1/2 cup of water. I'm gonna get that stirred together just so that I feel like I've tried this, and if you add the arrowroot in with the spices and then add it, it doesn't always mix in. You sometimes get clumps. So I like to mix it into my liquids. You need 6 tablespoons of vinegar. This is your regular old vinegar, the same one we used in the ketchup. Okay, so that's our liquids that we've got going in. To that, okay, so if you have mustard seeds, like the canning ones, like you use in canning or whatever, you can put these in your spice grinder, grind them up into a powder, you're set. I have found that it is actually less expensive for me to buy the powder when I need it. This is the one from Azure Standard. It's just called mustard seed powder, imagine that. You need 1/4 cup of that going into your liquid. This stuff can get a little potent. It is spicy. It tones down if you let it sit for a couple days, or even a couple hours. It kind of has a bitterness, and that it kind of mellows out after you let it sit a little bit. Next, we're gonna be adding 1/2 teaspoon of regular old, this is pink Himalayan salt, but any kind of salt. Ground turmeric. This is 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric. It helps it give it that beautiful yellow color. Ground mustard is, well, you can probably see it. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's very dull, kind of milky, and this will help pop it up to that color you're used to. So you need 1/2 teaspoon of that. It also is in every mustard. If you look at the back of the container, they all have it. Then we've got a little garlic powder, just because it's good. Why not? If you look at the back of the mustard, it says spices. So I do 1/4 teaspoon. If you like garlic and you want it more garlicky, just add a little bit more. Oh, I thought I turned that off. Alexa, stop the timer. I even set it here so that I wouldn't do that to you guys. I'm gonna turn my ketchup off just so I don't forget. I like to stir in between each ingredient so it doesn't get clumps sitting in the liquid. Then, paprika. I'm using regular old paprika. I have made this before with smoked paprika. We have them from Trader Joe's. It takes it to a whole different level. It is delicious, but sometimes I don't want smoked, like the flavor in everything, but if I'm making it specifically for like a rub for a meat smoking thing or something, in a barbecue sauce I'm gonna use for that, so good. We need 1/4 teaspoon. That's it, you guys. Like I told you, it's very simple. Same thing with this one. Like right now you can see it's very, very liquidy. There's nothing holding it together. Once it starts to cook down, that cornstarch is gonna help thicken it up a little bit. The other thing if you wanted to make more like a fancy mustard, you leave these more like whole. I don't love that type of mustard, so I'm not doing that today. Anyways, I'm gonna put this on the stove. I'm gonna let it cook for about 10 minutes to sometimes 20, just depending on the texture of it. So I'm gonna get this one going while we check our ketchup. Let me rinse this off. Let me bring our ketchup over so you can check it out. So our ketchup is done. I already turned it off. Had to double check. Like I said, this pops really good, so it's best to have a lid on it when you're cooking it. Then I'm gonna take that lid, I'm gonna put it on my mustard if it starts to pop around. But for our ketchup, it just looks like red sauce right now. This did not have vinegar in it, so I can pour this in here. I want you to be able to see it. Looks like ketchup, right? Because we make ketchup. It's crazy, like how simple things really are. If you just do, like, just look at ingredient lists. You'd be amazed. You probably have 90% of the stuff you need, or even 100% of the stuff you need to make most of these recipes at any given time. All right, let me get this a little stir. And my whisk is over there. Anyways, this is our ketchup. What I typically do with it is put it into, okay, you guys know me. I like to put it into ketchup bottles that I've used previously, even glass ones, and repurpose them, because when those companies design things, they do a great job at making usable containers that fit nicely in my fridge that my family's used to. So this will get popped into our ketchup bottle, and nobody will know that it is not Heinz or whoever your favorite ketchup brand is. This one, as it cools, will mellow out. It comes across as a little bit vinegary the first day or so, and then it will slowly smooth out into more like a ketchup you're used to. So what I'm gonna do is pop just a little piece of saran wrap or a bowl cover or something over this and kind of set it to the side, let it come to room temperature, then put it in your favorite container, pop it in your refrigerator. But there's we make ketchup. Hello, let's work on our mustard. So I am going to set a timer on my mustard as soon as it starts to boil. I'm gonna clean up all this mess, and then I'll come back to show you guys our finished mustard. This is easy, you guys. Like I always say, keep your money in your pockets. Okay, while my mustard is cooking, I have to show you guys something. I recently showed you guys, we got this mason jar at a thrift store, and I was like, I've never seen one this size. So I actually ended up finding 2 at different thrift stores that day, and I bought both of them, and you guys were like, oh, it's a 1.5 pint jar. So I had to share with you guys that it is not a 1.5 pint jar. So let me show you. This is a 1.5 pint jar. It's not a 1.5 pint jar. So I had to show you why I picked it up. This is a 1/2 pint jar, like a little jelly jar. It's a 3/4, it's like a 3/4 pint, or I don't know what you call it. But I know you guys were all commenting. I got so many comments, and I was like, I don't know how to tell you guys. It's not a 1.5 pint jar. So this is a 1.5 pint. This is a 1/2 pint. So what would you call this little guy? I know it is whatever that quilted look that they get on mason jars. And I know they don't make them anymore. It's old. But I just had to fill you guys in since we had a deep conversation about it. And not to say that you guys were wrong, but you were wrong. Anyways, so I pulled it out. Just there you guys go. If you know the actual name of this 3/4 pint size, because this is a 1/2 pint. A jelly jar is a 1/2 pint. If you know the name of this, let me know. I'm just curious. Anyways, we're going to use to store our mustard, so that's why I got it out. But my mustard is still cooking. I've given it a little stir, but I just had to share that with you. So if you know the name, let me know. Okay, we're back. And Shawn heard me from the other room talking about not knowing what this jar is called, and he did some research for me, so now we know. It is called a 3/4 pint quilted jar. They're discontinued, so they're no longer made. But people used them for jelly, but in larger quantities. But they don't make them anymore. Anyways, it's a little big for what I need today. Anyways, but what is the other thing? It was called a 1/2 pint and a half, which made me laugh, which is just 3/4 pint. Anyways, they only came in quilted though, and we did find some on eBay. So if you're looking, you can pay $14 for one. Anyway, thank you, my love, for giving me all the information. So instead, I'm using a half pint because this recipe cooks pretty far down and didn't need a bunch. Sometimes I'll make extra, but today we just made a single batch. Let me get my... So like I said, this thickens up nicely because a little bit of cornstarch, and you end up with a beautiful mustard. So this went for 10 minutes. And like I said, it cooks down a little bit, y'all. I didn't use the smoked paprika in this one. I used regular old paprika, so it doesn't have the smoky flavor. So this is more of a traditional table mustard, I guess you would call it. And it packs some punch, y'all. This thing, it's very like vinegary. It's got some spice from the mustard. Like not spicy, but you know what I mean? Like mustard has a spice to it a little bit. Anyways, like I was saying, it will be a little bit strong. I pop it in the refrigerator, and then usually like within a few days, the bitterness and everything tones down and it won't be so in your face. Anyways, let me get a little spoon. I'm gonna do a taste test for you guys. Hopefully we do not melt my face off. They're both still hot, so I'm gonna take a little bit of the mustard and we'll just coat the spoon a little bit and set it to the side while we try out the ketchup. So the ketchup, as you can see, it thickened up beautifully. Depending on which tomato paste you use, it can have not clumpy, but it can end up having a less smooth texture. So like I was saying, pick a decent tomato paste for it. Like I said too, it will tone down a little bit. The vinegar and everything will like mold together, and it'll taste a little bit better in a day or two. But it's so good. It's like, right now it's super vinegary, but it's like the perfect sweetness. It tastes like ketchup should taste versus like the bottle in the fridge, which is mostly just, I don't know what they do, but you wanna try ketchup?
Sure.
Well, it's warm, so.
Warm ketchup? Like warm or hot?
Warm. And the vinegar will tone down.
It's right here. Tastes like ketchup.
Oh my gosh, what a concept.
The initial bite almost tastes like kind of like a pasta sauce.
I got you. The acidity of the tomatoes, I bet
Oh, makes sense.
Do you want to try the mustard? I would use your finger because it was pretty hot. The bitterness that you're tasting right there, it goes away in a couple days.
So I just wait here then?
No, for a corn dog.
That's what I was thinking.
I know, right? Mm-hmm.
No, the aftertaste kind of takes care of that too. So
yeah.
Interesting to see. We'll see you in 3 days.
Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna pop these in the refrigerator, and there you guys go. There's your ketchups and your mustards. Fight on.
USC.
If you're from Southern California, you get what I'm saying. Anyways, I'm gonna pop this. Hey, look, go Bruins. Yeah, I'm gonna pop this one in this jar and get them in the fridge for you. Not for you guys, sorry. Smell-o-vision. Get them in the fridge for us. Thanks for coming along, you guys. And the recipes, we always write the recipes for you guys. I don't send you on a wild goose chase to find them or anything. We're still working on getting some kind of blog or somewhere that you can go print them. But for now, if you hit description below, it'll pop a whole thing down, and the recipe is always right at the top. We make it super easy for you. So there you guys go. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, guys.